Hello goddesses, and welcome back to another video. Today I am not glammed up yet. We are going to go ahead and do some on-camera glam. I love doing this with you guys. I'm going to share with you guys my current favorites, like my skincare routine, etc. But I wanted to do today's video on the floor. As you guys can see, because doing my makeup on the floor in front of like a giant mirror, it gives me just like 90s, early 2000s vibes. I was born in '89, so I grew up in that era, and there's just something nostalgic about it. And I saw a meme, or it was just like, girls who do their makeup on the floor in front of a mirror, they just hit differently, like they're just a different vibe. And I was like, oh my gosh, that took me just like back, like way back. So I wanted to do something similar to that while also talking about today's goddess. I'm gonna go and insert a picture right here. This is the Japanese goddess of beauty, BenzaiTen. I am so honored to be doing this video and talking about beauty, my thoughts on beauty, inner beauty, struggles that I've had with beauty. We're getting into all of that. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can become a part of the goddess family. I love you guys and appreciate you guys. Also, the giveaway is still going on, so if you want to be a part of the giveaway, it is in Sunday's video. I'll go ahead and link it right here, also down below, but go ahead and watch that video. It explains how to enter. Best of luck to everybody. I love you. Let's hop into it. Okay, so clearly I have nothing on my face, but what I like to do if I'm going to be wearing makeup all day, I want to make sure that my pores are not like ginormous. I've been really into skincare lately. I've been really into toners where before I had not been into toners because my skin is a very sensitive, and sometimes toners would be too harsh and make me like irritated or break out. But I found the perfect toner for my skin. This one is a watermelon toner. I don't know if you guys can see it through the glare, but this is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Toner. This is supposed to give you a nice subtle glow. I do have oily skin. I don't feel like it gives me like a nasty oil or whatever. But I also don't feel like it leaves my skin tacky, which is another issue that I used to have. Either it dried out my skin or it made my skin really tacky. This one leaves my skin feeling really soft and nice. I really like it. So what I do is I just put some of it on a cotton pad and I literally just clean my face with it. It is so crazy because when I was growing up, I never really saw myself as beautiful. And I think that a lot of us go through that same personal struggle. And I think whenever I hear goddess of beauty, I'm always like, oh, that would be so nice to like even be considered that. And it wasn't until I got into my late 20s, early 30s, where I kind of built this confidence in myself that I never had before. And I did a lot of like internal work. You can see how sensitive my skin is, like from wiping it, it gets red anyways. But it wasn't until then that I started to do a lot of like internal healing, where I understood why I felt the way that I felt and why I felt unworthy, and to realize your contribution to your own self-worth and self-doubt and limitations. It's empowering and depressing in the same, sense. I feel empowered because now I know what my issues are, but then you're also depressed in a weird way because you're like, now that I know, how do I push forward? How do I fix this problem? Or how do I, address it and make my life better? And I'm gonna be completely real with you guys. I did a lot of like back and forth, like feeling really empowered and then feeling depressed again and then feeling super beautiful and then feeling like the ugliest thing in the world. And it wasn't until I think my last like type of situationship that I was like, I need to value myself more. I need to value myself more. It was like life gave me like too many obstacles of the same obstacle. Like I was running the same course over and over and over again. And it wasn't until I decided that I wasn't gonna do that anymore that stuff started to shift. I changed my mindset. I really did do a lot of like talking to my younger self, my, child self, healing old wounds because I always felt like I was never heard. And I think this had a lot to do with my self-worth and my confidence. So if you are feeling like in a funk or depressed or don't know where to start, I would look within always. This is like my best advice ever. And it's really weird because I used to be the girl that was like constantly like looking for validation or constantly looking for answers. So I wanted everybody else to tell me what I wanted to be told. And I would always find myself in situationships, whether it was friendships, whether it was co-workers, whether it was relationships, where I was overly compensating because I wished so badly that somebody would reach out and do the same for me. It wasn't until I had enough of that where I was just like tired of feeling like I was always the one getting the short end of the stick. I was always the one that had to repair myself after giving my all to a job, a friendship, a relationship, that I was like, enough. Like, I'm just gonna give myself what I'm giving to everybody else. And that was a game changer. And after I started doing that, I started to care about my, mental health, my physical health, my internal like well-being. The way I talked to myself was different. And that's when I started to open up the possibilities to the beauty that was around me and that beauty that was inside of me. And so when I see this goddess and she's talking and holding herself so gracefully, it's because she has this self-awareness and it's so magnetic and beautiful. And to me, whenever I think of a goddess of beauty now, I don't just see a physical, I see there's so much more than that. It's the way she thinks about the world around her. It's the way she treats herself. It's the way she talks to herself. All of what is around her that is beautiful is a reflection of her internal beauty. And so that was a game changer for me. I went really deep there, but I just want to let people know because it's something I think that others might get embarrassed about, because who wants to admit like, hey, I had no self-confidence before, I was in really bad relationships, or I picked bad situations, whether it was work-wise, friendship-wise, and I was doing it to myself. Like, who wants to admit that? That sucks. And it sucks going through it, and you do get really depressed. But at the end of the day, have a choice to stop that and start new. Every second that you have, every second that you're breathing, like right now, like you could turn this video off and start changing the way that you think, the way that you are. Who you want to be is accessible to you. And I think that that is such an empowering thing that so many people should feel like, hey, I have control. Even though you might not have the best financial situation at the time or the best living situation at the time. I know, like, growing up, me and my dad always butt heads. And so when I was older, I had a choice to like move back with my parents, and I did for like 3 days, and I was like, I cannot do this. And it empowered me to stand up on my own and find a way. And so I'm grateful for that, because it taught me a lot of, independence and self-discovery, because I was like, I know that this, we're just two different personalities, so I need my space. I was like really random, but sometimes things that might seem like an obstacle are there just to bring out a certain strength or a certain trait in you. So again, it's how you view it. And after you kind of like look back and you replay your life, you're gonna be like, wow, it's starting to add up. Synchronicities, it's all making sense. And you can look back, and you don't look back at judgment or with judging eyes. And that takes time, that takes, a lot of like healing and time to really feel at peace with certain situations, especially if people have hurt you in a physical or emotional way really bad for however long. It will eventually be lifted, and I don't say it goes away overnight by any means. And I feel like there's still residence of it within your DNA, because it's a part of you, but it could either be a part of what makes you beautiful and what made you you, or a part of what is continuing to hinder you. I honestly do feel like we have the power to choose how we want to view it and how we allow it to impact ourselves, because trust me, I've gone through a lot of very hurtful, traumatic, emotional, physical realities in this life. And I don't like that to hinder me, and I don't like to really showcase that because I'm not that. I am here. I am now. I am who you're seeing at this very moment. And yes, I've changed throughout. Like if you've seen my first video till now, you can see the transformation. Like you really can see like the confidence, the growth, the way my voice is just projected out more because I have this value and the self-worth that I had but had lost. You know, it's like one of those things where it's like you start to have like a hint of it and then something happens and you go back, and then you start to, you know, go forward and then something happens, you go back. And if that happens to you, don't beat yourself up about it. Like push forward, keep going. Don't let a little obstacle or a big obstacle or any obstacle stop you from reaching your full goddess potential. That true beauty that is just waiting to burst out from the inside out. Anyways, I'm gonna share with you guys my favorite combination for moisturizer. I do this morning and night. Again, my skin is very sensitive, so I have to use little to no product because otherwise my skin feels heavy or tacky and I end up washing off the product anyway. So I'm very particular with what I actually put on my face. So I've been loving this serum. This is the retinol serum from The Ordinary. It's very affordable. I believe it's like $8.50. I get mine at Ulta. You can also get it online, and I believe The Ordinary has a website. But I just do 1 drop of this, and then what I do is I mix the moisturizer. This is from the same brand, The Ordinary, and this is the natural moisturizer with hyaluronic acid, so very moisturizing. And as you guys might know, I'm over the age of 30 now, so I definitely need some retinols and some moisturizer in my life. So after I put the serum and the moisturizer, I mix it together in my hands, and all I do is I just give myself a really nice little massage just to wake up my skin. Also, I feel like since I've been massaging my skin, I do feel like my cheeks look fuller, the blood flow is a lot nicer. You guys can see my skin gets red. I have red undertone, but I find it like really funny because like even when I get facials, like the lady will think she's irritating my skin, and I'm like, no, it just gets really red. Like the blood just flows and it gets really red naturally whenever I touch it. It's so funny. Anyways, now I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. CC cream. Ooh, and I'm just gonna do like a 1.5 drops. I did a drugstore haul recently, like a month ago, and I tried this for the first time. I've been in love ever since. So I go in and make sure to get my neck and my face because I don't want 2 different colors. But yeah, and then I just blend. It's so funny because I've actually talked to 2 different creators, and they are both into, you know, YouTube and fashion and makeup and lifestyle, and they were like me. They were like 2 girls who were learning and discovering. They were girls that were learning and discovering, you know, the beauty industry and how to put makeup on through YouTube. And it's so funny because when I was younger, I used to get teased all the time because 1, I had really bad skin. 2, I didn't know how to do my makeup. And so it was devastating because YouTube was not a thing when I was like in high school and stuff. And so no one ever taught me like in the real world. And so it wasn't until I got into my 20s where YouTube was a thing and I was able to learn how to properly do eyebrows and makeup and how to start doing literally anything girly, because everything else I had to just kind of teach myself. And I was like too insecure to ask people for help too, because I was like secretly really shy. Again, I had like little self-confidence and self-worth when I was younger. And it's so funny because when I was 5 and under, like before I went to school, I used to be pretty confident. Like I was the girl that like did performances in her front yard for her parents to see, and I used to be like very outgoing, a little fashion queen, and I used to try to like design my own dresses, and I was a really out there type of person. And then when I went to school, like pre-K, for whatever reason, I became really shy and I wouldn't even eat like lunch at school. Like I would purposely not eat anything because I didn't want the kids to see me. And I don't remember if something ever happened, like if a kid made fun of me and I just stopped eating or what, but growing up, like I didn't have a whole lot of money. My parents were teenage parents and they provided for us so well given their circumstance. And I didn't have like, you know, like the most lavish lifestyle as a kid. And I remember like being so humbled with like everything that I did get. And I do feel like we had a good amount of stuff compared to the other children in our neighborhood because we lived in a very sketchy part of town. But I was completely content with like never wearing shoes. Like I never wore shoes as a kid, was just a complete free spirit. And I never saw anything wrong with it. And it wasn't until I started school that I started to kind of like get into this little bubble and this little cocoon. And I really, for the life of me, cannot remember if anything crazy happened, like bullying or whatever, or maybe it was just my own, you know, insecurities that arose. But it wasn't until, I want to say like 2nd and 3rd grade that I vividly remember being outcasted and bullied for little things like my appearance or my personality or just anything. And the weird thing was, sometimes like the way I was bullied was by like teachers, like adults, like, but the bullying had gotten kind of bad where like things were getting stolen from me, like a little break with some wine. But at one point the bullying had gotten to, and this is like still like 2nd grade, like this isn't even out of 2nd grade yet. My 2nd grade teacher really didn't care like pretty much like what happened with the kids. It was really weird. It was a private school, and I don't know if anybody else had went to a private school. I went to a private school for pre-K all the way to 3rd grade, and it was a whole different ball game. It was completely different than public school. And 3rd grade on is when I went to public school. It wasn't like any better as far as like the bullying still happens at either school, but I feel like the teachers bully you more in private schools. If you guys went to a private school, comment down below because I don't know if I'm the only one who ever experienced that. But yeah, weird random side note. Anyways, my sister's always been the person who sticks up for people like in any circumstance. Like I remember when we were little, I was in 3rd grade and she was I think in 5th grade. And we had went to our very first sleepover. Our parents never really let us sleep over places. They were pretty strict, which thank God for that because they did it with a loving intention. They didn't want anything to ever happen to us. So I remember this was like our very first sleepover that we were ever allowed to go to that wasn't like family. And we didn't even get to finish sleeping over. It was a pool party for one of the little girls that was my sister's friend. And I happened to be invited also just because she also had a sister that was my age. Me and my sister are 2 years apart. So I had also got invited. And that was one of the reasons that my parents were like, okay, you guys could go because you're both gonna go and you guys can watch over each other. And they knew my sister didn't take stuff from anybody, so like she would stick up for me, vice versa. Anyways, so I remember all the little girls, we were all like upstairs playing Barbies. And then, I don't know, I heard like a big commotion. And then like a few minutes later, I get pulled out of the room by the parent and they were like, we're gonna call your guys' parents, you guys have to leave. So my big sister had gotten in a fight on the staircase, out of all places, with the birthday girl and the birthday girl's friend. Now, mind you, my sister was also like a friend, but she was more of an acquaintance. She's friends with everybody, but she never lets people talk down to people. That's just something that she's never stood for. And I love that about her. That's like one of my favorite things about her is that she always will speak her mind and she won't let you take advantage of somebody because they lack confidence in speaking up for themselves. So she will speak up for you. And so this little girl that she was defending, again, it was a pool party. This was one of my sister's friends, and she was a little bit on the thicker side. And my sister, obviously, like, we're kids, like me and her, we're very non-judgmental people. We've never been, we are not at all. We don't judge anybody. I think that stems from, one, our parents, especially our mom, like, she is not a judgy person. She's very loving, caring, understanding. Two, I think that people had judged the two of us for so many years of our lives without getting to know us that we were like, I'll never do that to somebody else. So I remember sitting there and listening to my sister explain to my parents, I handed her the phone, what happened, and she said they were making fun of my friend. They told her that she shouldn't have been in a bathing suit, that they didn't know why she came, even though the girl invited her, so I don't know why people are like that. Anyways, so they were basically bullying the little girl, like the other little girl, my sister's friend. And my sister told them that they better stop talking to her like that or she'll do something about it. And the girls didn't stop talking, so my sister did something about it. So, true story. Cynthia, if you're watching this, yes, I did share that story. I have so many stories, you guys. I don't know if you guys want to do a whole story time series, but that to me is also a form of beauty. Somebody who stands up for what she believes in, no matter if people are against her, no matter what. I'm thankful for people like my sister who stick up for what they believe in. And to me, again, that's like a form of beauty and empowerment. And I love it. I'm gonna add some blush. I've been starting to do my blush on my high cheekbone and then blending it down. I've actually really liked the way that this has been looking. I feel like it's really made me look snatched, which I like. See? So I just blend, blend, blend. And voila! That is it. It's still drying. I just put some setting spray, my very favorite setting spray, this one from Urban Decay. This is the oil control one, but this is the final look. What do you guys think? I love it. I love it. I think I'm gonna make a few TikToks now that I did my makeup. Inspired to find the beauty that is already inside of you. I love you guys so much. Till next time. Cheers.